This Saturday night, we got Sean Strickland defending his UFC middleweight title against Dricus du Plessis. And earlier that day, we got some boxing going on in London. We got Mikaela going against Natasha Jonas for Natasha Jonas's IBF. And let's get to it. So let's get to the UFC fight first. Sean Strickland is defending for the first time his middleweight title that he just won from Izzy Adesanya. His last fight was in 293 just a few months ago, and Sean has been on a little bit of a streak. It was his third fight of the year, and Sean strikes me as the kind of guy that learned on the job. You know, he has experience. He's fought guys like Izzy. He fought Magomedov earlier last year. He fought Alex Pereira when nobody wanted to fight him. He fought Uriel Hall. He fought Kamaru Usman back in the day. What I noticed about the Izzy fight is that he's a very low volume guy. He doesn't use up a lot of energy. He's very precise with his punches. He's very poised. Every time he kept backing up Izzy into the corner, he looked very confident in there. He looked very poised, and he was not scared of anything coming back at him. He wasn't scared of a counter shot coming back at him. So he wasn't really twitchy. He wasn't very reactive. He was letting Izzy react first, and he was countering off of his movements. And I thought that was really impressive by Sean. His defense looked really tight in that fight, and he looked really sharp with his punches. When you look at du Plessis, the guy is 20-2 with 19 knockouts. He's 30 years old. He's a heavy-handed guy. When he gets in range, he likes to grapple you and wrestle you. His last fight was against Robert Whittaker. He stopped him back in July of 2023. He's also stopped guys like Derek Brunson and Darren Till. But you see, that's where the problem is. Du Plessis has fought a lot of low-level guys like Darren Till, Brunson, and you can look really good against those guys. When you're stepping up in competition and level and skill, I think he's gonna find out the hard way that he's gonna need a little bit more than his power to bail him out. I think Sean Strickland is a very crafty veteran at this point. I think Strickland is a very dedicated fighter, and he's come into his own at 32 years old. And I think Strickland is just a level above du Plessis at this point. He's fought a lot of guys. He's racked up the experience, and I think Strickland should put him away. I'm not sure when. I'm not going to say when, but I got Strickland winning this fight. The co-main to the man in London, Jack Cullen against Zach Shelley. Let's talk about it. Jack Cullen fought twice in 2023. He got washed by Diego Pacheco in the fourth round back in March. Then he had a little bounce back fight in September. He had a TKO victory over Mark Heffron in the third round. These two guys have met earlier in August of 2020. It was a split decision draw, and it was competitive to say the least. It was a very dull fight. None of these guys really wanted to engage too much. You would see Jack Cullen in all of his fights really try to use his long, rangy jab, and he has a nice little solid left hook to the body. He has a reach advantage, and then during the fight, he was successful when he was maintaining his distance. Zach Shelley, his last fight was in September of last year as well, but he fought a guy who had 124 losses. I don't know how you can explain something like that. He lost a unanimous decision to Mark Jeffers a couple years ago too. And the thing with Zach Shelley is that he leads with power shots and they're very wide. He swings very widely, and his chin is always exposed. He stays low. He keeps his head low, but he does keep that chin exposed, and he does swing pretty wildly with his hooks and with his power shots. And that's really all he does for the majority of the fight. Whenever he was clipping Jack Cullen with the jabs, whenever he was using the jabs, he was clipping Cullen with him. But it wasn't so often enough to the point where he wanted scoring enough to win the rounds. Yeah, I can't pick a winner for this fight. Both of these guys are very limited, so I can't say I have anybody for this fight. Neither of these guys have gone 12 rounds. This is a 12-round fight, so this is going to look interesting going down the stretch. I will not bet the over or the under. I will not touch this fight at all. Gun to my head, I will have to go with Cullen. I think he adjusts really well. I'm going to go with Cullen by decision. Gun to my head, I will not bet on this fight, however, in no way, shape, or form. Now on to the main event, Mikaela Mayer against Natasha Jonas. Jonas is defending her IBF welterweight title that she won at her last fight from Candy Wyatt, who she knocked out in the 8th round back in July for the IBF welterweight title. Now, Natasha Jonas is 39 years old. She's 14-2 with 9 knockouts and 1 draw. She's fought 3 times in 2022 and is on a nice little 5-fight win streak, but she only fought that one time in July. However, her being 39 years old and as inactive as she has been makes me wonder a little bit. When I look at Mikaela Mayer, she's 19-1 with 5 knockouts. She's 33 years old, so she is a little bit younger. Her last fight was a 12-round decision over Silvia Bertot back in September. It was her second fight of the year, and she did a really good job. She displayed everything in her arsenal. She showed her jab. She varied with her combinations. She stuck some nasty body shots under Bertot. She threw a lot of stiff jabs that really stopped Sylvia in her track. The body shots also did it as well. She used her height. She used her footwork. She wasn't an easy target to hit, but Bertot was tough, man. She hung in there. She took some shots. She took some crazy shit. And you know what? Mikaela Mayer showed me here that she has a high punch output. And that was really important in this fight because, like I said, Bertot is a tough customer, and Mikaela had to keep her at range, and she did a really good job establishing herself with those stiff jabs and those body shots to really slow her girl down. As for this fight, this is gonna be a very, very competitive back and forth type of fight. It's going to be a chess match. And I know they're fighting in Liverpool, but I'm going to have to go with Mikaela Mayer here. I got Mikaela Mayer based on the fact that she's been slightly more active. She's the younger fighter, she's the taller fighter, rangier fighter, she's the more high volume fighter. I feel like Natasha Jonas plants her feet a little too long to throw that hard straight left hand. I think her stoppage over Candy Wyatt was a good match for Natasha Jonas, but Candy Wyatt was more of a stationary target, and she was there to be hit, so Natasha Jonas planted her feet and threw as many left hands as she could to her. I don't think that's going to happen with Mikaela Mayer. Mikaela Mayer is going to use her feet. She's going to use her range. She's going to use her jab, and she's not going to be an easy target to hit. And I think Natasha Jonas is going to have a hard time finding that left hand. I'm taking Strickland for the money line. I'm going with the prop bet, going with Mikaela Mayer taking the decision. And I'm going to parlay Akui for next week, money line. I'm taking Teraji money line for next week. And I'm taking Mikaela Mayer for money line.